extremely empowering. So this will be great for you and for your clients. And it's always fun to know about the thyroid because you can work on it from your genius, which we're going to look at today. We'll also take any volunteers. So if you'd like to volunteer, you're welcome to do that by chiming in the chat that you'd like to volunteer. Let's go ahead and see if we're empowering. All right, fantastic. Okay, we're live streaming to YouTube and we're ready to get rolling now. So thank you so much again. My name is Ariel. I'm a naturopathic doctor and I teach and train about quantum biofeedback, energy, vibrational technologies, including the genius. So let's talk about it. And if you have any questions about the genius you'd like me to answer, I'm here to answer it. Whether you have the genius or you're thinking about getting it, we're here to help you. All right, let's see if this will cooperate. What's going on? Is this the one we just did? This is really weird. Just change the picture. How about this one? My presentations. Let's look at all of them. Oh, it's a little better. Okay, there we go. Okay, so a warm welcome again, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. If you need to hop off on YouTube, look for my name on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel since we always have new and interesting things coming out. And hi from upstate New York. Okay, louder if possible. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think this will probably be a little better. So thank you so much, Pat, and I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us for this time. And are there any tuning fork frequencies? So a lot of the tuning fork frequencies are not inherently in the tuning fork. What you'll see is tuning forks that have like the solfeggio frequencies. So if there's a particular set of harmonic frequencies that you'd like to see us develop, or you'd like to learn how to add them yourself, we could do that. But what are the tuning fork harmonic frequencies or the frequencies included in that set of tuning forks? Why don't you find that and then let us know and we'll go from there. All right, so what we're going to do for the next few weeks is we're going to do 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern on Mondays. So a little bit later in the day. I'd love for you to join us. We'll see how it goes. We may switch it back to earlier, but this is just a really excellent time for us to broadcast this. And of course, you can catch up at any time that you want. All right, so we're 12 o'clock and 3 p.m. Eastern. We talk about topics of natural health. We talk about quantum biofeedback. We talk about frequency. We talk about energy. So you can ask any questions that you want, recommend any topics that you want. I thought we might do a class on Royal Rife and some of the other leaders in energy and frequency technology. So if you have any other topics that you're interested in, then please do let me know. If you're not already a part of our Detox and Nourish class, I really encourage you to join me for a live class. We're going to be broadcasting again on Wednesday. In this class, you really learn some pretty amazing truths that will help you and help your family. If you're interested in preventing or healing from cancer, diabetes, heart disease, if you want to stop the vicious cycle of taking all these medications, then you'll want to learn our Detox and Nourish program, where we go into the science of really calorie density, of what starches are, why they're important, and just the real truth about nutrition. There's a lot of people out there that are going to encourage you to consume nuts, consume oils, consume avocados, and that sounds like they would be fairly innocuous, but they're not so innocuous. They can cause you to be chronically overweight. And if you're chronically overweight, even if you're eating healthy food, you're still at risk for diabetes, heart disease, and just kind of overwhelming your system, hypertension. So the best thing you can do is be at a slender weight for your optimal health and for anti-aging. But for a lot of people, it becomes a conundrum and a frustration about how to keep that weight, how to lose that weight, and how to maintain that weight. And that's because people are really not taught the right information. The fat you eat is the fat you wear, and yet all of our marketing really encourages people to eat high-fat foods, not our marketing, but popular conventional wisdom marketing. And it really is unfortunate because one thing we just covered in class that's so interesting is the science that shows that it's really starches that satiate you. And yet a lot of marketing tries to convince you that fat will satiate you and fat will just make you fat. And we go through the science of how little calories it takes to convert actual fat that you consume into fat in your body. And then we go through something called de novo lipogenesis, which says that when you eat a bowl of rice or some pasta or some potatoes, they're actually biochemically very difficult to convert to fat in your body. And they're much more likely to be used sort of for extra energy that you have, maybe fidgeting or movement. But it takes something like a third of those calories instead of 3% of the calories to actually convert it into fat. And you're much more likely to get to fill up and be full more quickly and stop consuming the food. So carbohydrate or starches satiate you and fat does not. It's shocking. We also went through calorie density. Understanding calorie density, that olive oil is a very high calorie density food and that potatoes are a very low calorie density food can really help you. And I know weight loss may not be your thing or you're not thinking about it, but unless you're your optimal weight, you are missing out on aspects of what could keep you healthier and younger looking for life. So we'd love you to join us. It's already recorded. You can join us for session 3 on Wednesday. You can look up our Detox and Nourish program at geniusbiofeedback.com. If you're joining us, maybe randomly arriving at our channel or checking things out, or somebody referred you, we are a program of Quantum Biofeedback. Quantum Biofeedback helps you to learn about yourself and the world around you through testing your voice and your picture. You can discover so many things, your emotional blocks, your physical blocks, your spiritual blocks. And once you learn what they are, then you can do something about it. One of the simplest things to do is to hit the play button on the Genius and start to balance yourself out to the same degree that you were out of balance. You're going to meet that with frequencies, personalized frequencies that you need at this time. So quantum biofeedback is a really powerful tool for you to advance yourself and to just become more self-aware. And we've had people using the program now for 10 years. They're extremely happy and learning about it for themselves, their family, and also making a business out of this. So the Genius listens to your voice. It has a very powerful voice engine. It gives you important information, and then it tells you based on that voice what frequencies you're most attracted to, what would be the frequencies that would be best for you today. Within those frequencies, there's also some information that will be telling you about the possible imbalances in your body. We don't make any claims or diagnosis, but the reds and blues often give us very strong hints about things that we need to address. One of the things you can address is sending frequencies to your thyroid to help to balance out the energy. And so we have lots of thyroid libraries available at geniusbiofeedback.com. And these are the topics that we take up within the library. You'll understand the library a lot better after I go through this information. You will also understand how to better take care of yourself when you understand the physiology of the thyroid. This week we'll have thyroid libraries on sale, as well as the class that we did about the thyroid that will also be available, where you can get a deeper dive into the information that we're covering today. So your thyroid gland is located in this part of the body, in the neck, and it's really a driver of metabolic function in the body. So what it does is it produces thyroid hormone, and what that does is it enables the process, it sort of catalyzes the process of producing energy in the body. And whenever you produce energy through the mitochondria, so this is going to sort of quick start that process. It's going to say, hey, we need to produce a lot of energy right now due to thyroid hormone. And so the metabolism of the body goes into effect, and now the mitochondria are producing lots and lots of ATP, which is energy. So good amount of thyroid hormone, balanced thyroid hormone, you have energy, and it also produces a byproduct in the citric acid cycle of the mitochondria, and so you also produce heat. So you produce energy and heat. So you're energized and you're warm as a result of having adequate amounts of thyroid hormone. So the thyroid signals metabolic function, the production of energy in these organs and glands. You absolutely need to have good thyroid function in order to feel good and to be healthy in your body. Now, a lot of people will find out that they may have adequate amounts of thyroid hormone, which is called T4, but the key thing is that they don't convert it well to T3. So inactive thyroid hormone is what comes out primarily from your thyroid with a little bit of active thyroid hormone. When you take Synthroid, you're only getting T4. And this is one of the most interesting things learning about thyroid wellness, is that the medical community has typically given a medication that gives you more T4, But for a lot of people, they don't have the problem with inactive thyroid hormone. They have a problem converting it to active thyroid hormone. Again, inactive T4, active T3. So now we have some of the basics. And again, once you understand this, you'll be amazed at how much more empowered you're going to be understanding what your doctor is telling you about your thyroid. So the thyroid affects every part of your body. It affects your brain. So if you have brain fog, if you have like sort of a slow heart rate, or you feel like you're really fatigued and can't exercise, if you have easy muscle fatigue when you do exercise, these could all be signs of a sluggish thyroid. And when your thyroid is off, you just don't feel good. And when your thyroid is working, you feel really good. So your thyroid is this natural and constant source of energy and also your metabolism. You want to be able to maintain a healthy weight and not feel like if you eat just a little bit of food, you instantly gain weight. So radiation really does affect the thyroid. That's something that we're going to be thinking about. And so where would we be exposed to radiation? I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, the phone, but if people use the phone right here, what is it close to? Right here, it's close to their thyroid, right? And so if you're using the phone, which hopefully all of you use the phone on speaker, you never hold it up to your head, you never hold it up to this area, but interestingly enough, you're holding the phone right here and here's your thyroid. And so you're constantly irradiating your thyroid with your cell phone. Hopefully you're not doing that. Also, if you're at your computer and it's generating a lot of Wi-Fi, that could be affecting your thyroid. Or if you're just in a lot of EMF, that could be affecting your thyroid. So it's very sensitive to radiation. So it's pretty much been sort of a canary in the coal mine. I think for a lot of people have issues with their thyroid because of the increased level of EMF. Now, another interesting, really weird thing that makes the thyroid sort of subject to a perfect storm of different issues affecting it is mercury fillings. Now, a lot of people don't get mercury fillings anymore, but they may have ones from years ago. And of course, you put the mercury in here and here, and it can leach out, right? When you get little chips and issues with your fillings. And so it also can go right here. So it can seep into and affect the thyroid. And that's going to cause a problem with the thyroid, if not thyroid antibodies or other issues. Also estrogen dominance. So eating any type of, beef or pork or fish, these things have lots of extra amounts of hormones in them, lots of plastics. These are xenoestrogens. And this excess of estrogen is going to suppress thyroid function. So in any kind of environmental pollution, lots of toxins in the environment can deeply affect your thyroid. So you can see we have a perfect storm of different constituents that are going to affect the thyroid. All right, let's keep going here. All right, so why would your thyroid function change? Now, often when people go to see their medical doctor and they get a lab done for TSH, they may find out that their TSH is normal or in the normal range. And once again, this is only kind of telling if you're able to produce T4, not if you're converting that T4 to T3. So your T4 to T3, inactive to active, is converted in the gut and in the liver. So if you have any gut issues or any liver issues, you may not be converting to active thyroid hormone very well. Adrenal issues can affect the thyroid, hormonal imbalances, nutritional deficiencies, for example, iodine, selenium, and even stress. So high circulating cortisol can suppress your thyroid function. So there are many things sort of in the air, right, that can really affect your thyroid function. So we have many, many people who really have lower thyroid function than they need to really feel good. So let's get into a little bit more of the detail. Now, one of the biggest nutritional deficiencies is iodine. And iodine does come from the ocean. If we eat a lot of sea vegetables, we'll be able to get a lot of iodine. We don't necessarily want to get our iodine by consuming fish because fish have mercury and fish have PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. Unfortunately, we have put toxins into the fish, so sad. So you want to get the iodine from sea vegetables. And we have a great sea vegetable liquid at geniusbiofeedback.com called Dr. C7. So if you go to geniusbiofeedback.com and you put DRSEA and the number 7 spelled out, you can get that. And You just take like a dropper full a day, and it's going to be very rich with iodine, but a safe form of iodine it comes from deep Atlantic sea vegetables, 7 sea vegetables combined. And so it's an excellent supplement. I like it better than, say, nascent iodine or the other iodines, just because it comes from a food. But that is one of the biggest deficiencies that we're contending with, because people don't eat as much iodized salt, and they may not consume seafood, they may not consume sea vegetables. And on top of all of that, this is really weird, is that iodine is one of the halogens on the periodic table, the chemistry, the periodic table of the elements. You've ever seen that? And on that, you'll also see iodine, you'll see chlorine, and you'll see fluorine. And this is the weirdest thing, because they have different weights. Chlorine, like when you're showering or drinking purified water, that chlorine can displace the iodine. If there's fluoride in the water, then the fluorine, also one of the halogens, can replace the iodine. So this weird sort of situation where we can have adequate iodine but have it depleted by some of the environmental contaminants. So it's really interesting, all of the things that are kind of centering around the poor thyroid and really challenging its function, its ability to function well. All right, your pituitary in your brain actually sends a signal to your thyroid, and then your thyroid secretes T4. So your pituitary secretes something called thyroid stimulating hormone. Amazing name, describes exactly what it does. Thyroid stimulating hormone is meant to be a signal from your pituitary to your thyroid that says, ding dong, it's time for you to secrete your thyroid hormone. But when you secrete your thyroid hormone, it's only T4. So now if we go to the liver or the gut, we have to now have functioning liver, functioning GI tract in order to convert T4 to T3. So gut and liver and issues can impede this conversion. All right, now let's look at some pictures here. So as we've been discussing, here is your thyroid. Okay, it's got 2 sides, right, and this isthmus, a little bridge in between. And we know it's located in this sort of part of the neck here, okay? And look at what's happening here. So when your pituitary knocks on the door and says, hey, it's time to secrete thyroid hormone, so thyroid gland, you do your job, it secretes 85 to 90% T4 and only 10 to 15% T3. So T4 and T3 are produced by the thyroid gland. T4 is better for transport through the body, because then it's going to be converted, we say peripherally, but mostly in the gut and in the liver. And T3 is much more biologically active. So really interesting, because your doctor doesn't typically have a test that tests the levels of T3. Now that has become more popular over the years, and a lot of naturopathic doctors will want to know what is the free T3 in the body to really accurately assess the thyroid. But most medical doctors don't know about this, okay? So conversion is T4 to T3 conversion, the process by which your body turns T4 thyroid into T3. T3 thyroid hormone is 200 to 300 times more active than T4. So let's look at this in a little bit of a picture. So the hypothalamus gland sends the signal to the thyroid. Hypothalamus gland sends thyroid release. Yes, okay, yes. So hypothalamus sends it to the pituitary gland first. So let's see if we see this. Then the pituitary gland sends the TSH to the thyroid. This is exactly what we talked about. So interestingly, it does start at the hypothalamus, then it goes to the pituitary. These are all signals in your blood that are all feedback loops that help to keep your hormones balanced. At the thyroid stimulating TSH activated an enzyme called thyroid peroxidase to create T4, T3, T4, which are thyroid hormones. So 7% of T3 can be immediately used by cells. That's sort of similar to the numbers that we saw here. They're saying 10 to 15%. So between 7 and 15% can be used immediately. Now we have here, let's see if we can follow this. So this is now going to the liver. So this is going to be where T4 arrives. 93% is in the form of T4. This is the inactive form and must be converted to T3 before it can be used in the body. All right, so it basically is telling us the same thing that we've been talking about. And part of it is actually not included here. It gets converted in the gastrointestinal system, so in your gut. So gut and liver must be working well. Who do you know who might have problems with their gut and their liver? So it might not be converting as well as possible. And there are different herbs that can help with the conversion. And so we'll talk about those in a moment. Those are actually included on the panel. So iodine obviously being one of them. And there's also an Indian herb called Google, which is not the search engine, but Guggul. Google is excellent for converting T4 to T3. It's an Ayurvedic herb that can really help to improve the conversion and really help the person to be more healthy in producing the active T3 that they need. So the thyroid stimulating hormone from the pituitary tells the thyroid to make T4, and then it makes T4 in the liver. So it's showing you here, it's a little blurry. It's making about 60% conversion in the liver. It's giving about 20% conversion in the gut. And then don't worry about this, but 20% goes to reverse T3, which is inactive. Don't worry about this. But the most important part is, do you have a good functioning liver? Do you have a good functioning GI system, and do you have enough iodine in your diet? Okay, so factors that inhibit the production of thyroid hormone. Remember I said stress, cortisol will inhibit the production of healthy thyroid hormone from the thyroid. And also fluoride and bromide and chlorine, those are the halogens that will displace iodine. If you look at thyroid hormone, like T3, it says triiodothyronine, T3. So it literally has iodine in the molecule. That's why we actually need the iodine. Then we can see toxins, mercury, things like that. These are things that I've mentioned before. Autoimmunity. So if you have an autoimmune condition, obviously that's going to affect you. If it's Hashimoto's, it's going to create antibodies against the thyroid cells themselves. So to the point where you don't have any cells that will produce thyroid hormone. So you can slow that down. You can slow down that autoimmune process if it's caught early enough. Factors that increase the production of thyroid hormone: adequate iron, adequate iodine, adequate tyrosine. So most people will really have adequate iodine, tyrosine, and zinc if they eat a whole foods diet for the most part. Selenium, vitamin C, D, E, B2, B3, B6. All of those really can be had through a healthy diet. Just iodine is more rare. And so people don't always eat the foods that are rich in iodine. So sea vegetables is a pretty good thing to just have as a supplement in your diet. Factors that increase the conversion of T4 to T3, selenium, zinc, vitamin A, vitamin E. Just eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and you'll have enough of these minerals. Factors that improve cellular sensitivity to thyroid, vitamin A, zinc, and exercise. Exercise, especially in the morning, is really good for helping your body to be more sensitive or responsive to the thyroid hormone that you do make. So I find all the things about a thyroid hormone absolutely fascinating. And if anybody would like to volunteer, I will run some of the libraries on your thyroid and then send the frequencies to your Quanta capsule. So if anybody wants to volunteer, I need your date of birth. So go ahead and put your date of birth if you'd like me to run some of the thyroid libraries on you. It is kind of fascinating to take this information that we just learned and apply it to the libraries and see what comes up. So if you'd like to volunteer, go ahead and put your date of birth into the chat. Iodine deficiency, the thyroid is the largest store of iodine in the body. And then the breast tissue in women is the second one. And if iodine becomes depleted in the thyroid, it'll actually begin to rob the breast tissue of iodine, and that can cause all types of cysts and other changes in the cellular structure of the breast. So iodine is crucial for good health, and there are iodine receptors all over the body. The naturopathic doctors of the early 20th century, in the 1920s and 30s, before they were run out of town by the powers that be, would use iodine, especially Lugol's iodine, for different infectious conditions as a method of improving the immune system. All right. We'll see if we have time for a case today. If anybody, we do need a few more volunteers, so make sure you volunteer. Estrogen dominance or adrenal issues or High levels of estrogen may cause a thyroid imbalance. Be careful of exposure to xenoestrogens, meat and dairy products, and levels of high stress. So are there any questions about this material? Anything else that you would like to know? Any questions you would like to ask? Or is there something else that you'd like me to show in the Genius? So if there's something you'd like me to show within the Genius, please let me know now. Now's a good time to ask your questions. And or I'll just go ahead, and I know I have a few people who are okay if I work on them. I'll just go ahead and show an example here. So one more call for any volunteers, and let me know. Otherwise, we'll just move forward with this, and we'll just showcase some of the thyroid libraries on this example. All right, so any other questions about the Genius? Anything else that you would like to know? Please go ahead and ask that question now. Okay, David, we could definitely work on you. So hang on one second, we'll bring you up here. And let's go ahead and see, I think I have you here. And it'd be fun to test a person live. So let's see if we can get this all set up. All right, so let's go ahead and go to our participants. You guys, any questions about the Genius? Now is a good time to ask, or any other topics that you think that we could be covering more. Please let me know if you have any requests. Maybe it's a frequency, energy, technology that you'd like to see covered more. You can certainly let me know in the chat. Okay, we may just be able to. All right, David, I'm going to go to you and allow you to talk in just a moment here. I don't know why this is not bringing you up. Let me just allow you to talk. Oh, there you go. Might have worked there. Okay, David, how are you? Let's see if David W., if you're there and you're able to unmute yourself, let me know.
Aha. Does that work better?
Yes, it's working now. Thank you so much. How are you?
Well, and you?
I'm doing great. Well, we want to get your voice captured here.
Excellent.
Yes, and it's so, have you ever heard any of this information about the thyroid?
Boy, not in such complete detail. You're doing a great job covering it. So really look forward to reviewing this. Ton of information.
Excellent. That's great. And it can really be helpful when you're using your Genius to understand some of these concepts. It'll really help you to use it even more to explain to people what may be going on. And you can often see the patterns come together when you run these libraries. So let's go ahead and do that. For today, just to make it super easy, I'm going to utilize the live voice recording for this session. So I'm going to have you say the AEIOU, and I'll just go ahead and start recording you in 3, 2, 1. I'm recording.
David Womack, AEIOU, AEIOU, AEIOU. AEIOU, 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 AEIOU.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Got it. Fantastic. Okay, anything else that you want to tell us that you're working on or for us to look at for you?
Woo! Just really interested in seeing what comes up. And
okay,
I like how the thyroid can, affect our energy so much, and how, I find it all fascinating. There you go.
Yeah, we got that picture from last time, which is absolutely fine. And okay, so it'll be fun to see what comes up. So what I'll do is I'll be working on you here, and then we'll come back and talk with you in just a little bit.
Perfect.
All right, David, thank you. That's so nice to have him on. And thank you so much for volunteering. So today for David, we're going to see what's coming up. Have some fun with this. I'm broadcasting this from my iPad Pro. And let's go ahead and just peek here. We see today's stress, body systems, and herbs. We also see amino acids, sensitivities, minerals. And we can look down here, the solfeggiotones. Of course, all these are defined in our mastery guide. You should keep that mastery guide real close to you so you can look and take a look and see the meaning, see the explanation that we've provided. You can also do that with our success cards. They cover a lot of the different panels on the Genius, the desk reference success cards. And it's fun to be able to look at those as you're kind of looking at a client and really be able to interpret the information. So for right now, let's go ahead and look at the aura and see what's coming up in the aura today. The aura is a great way to get sort of a baseline for the person and then go back and look at it after you've been doing some balancing. So that's something that's also really fun to do. So we're going to look at this in the context of the thyroid information that we're working on for today. Let's go ahead and see. It's interesting that that aura scan seems to take so long. Okay, so this is a really, look at all that radiant vitality coming through. Absolutely spectacular. Just a really strong auric field coming through with all of that vibrant energy. So it's just looking really healthy. And then we've got this purple in the screen. So lots of opening in our 6th chakra, lots of opening in our 7th chakra. We've got some great green heart connection. We're going to look at it without the avatar in a moment. There's a little bit of fuzziness. So when you see this kind of fuzziness, it is maybe just a little bit of stress, hurrying. You can see it change, and often the boundaries get really crisp and clear as you balance somebody. And it's almost like they're settling down, they're getting grounded. So let's look at this. Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of yellow, both in the middle, this sort of 2nd chakra, and then 3rd chakra. So 2nd and 3rd chakra, but they're bright. The boundaries are very good. So just looking really very, very positive. We'll have to see what shifts and changes as we go through this. So let's just go ahead and peek at some of these, and let's look at the herbs. And it says borage and skullcap. So skullcap is going to be very calming. Cayenne is good for circulation. Let's just go ahead down here and see if there's anything interesting. Faux tea is the same as Hoshu Wu, which is really good. It's great for adrenal health. It's great for like adaptogenic health. It's great. It's a great anti-aging herb. So ginseng, lycium is basically goji berries. A lot of great antioxidants coming up. A lot of great anti-aging herbs coming up. So that's kind of interesting. A lot. So I say more adaptogenic things that are good for the adrenals. And then we've got the nervous system and the immune system coming up on body systems. I'm just choosing these now because they are red and blue. It's saying that we're kind of acidic, that our kidneys are kind of acting up a little bit. We're working on our immune system. We're working on maybe some environmental sensitivities, hormones, and connective tissue. I'm going to make that kind of fast. Then we've got amino acids, sensitivities, and minerals. Well, let's go ahead and grab those. So we've got some amino acids that maybe we need to balance. We've got some sensitivities that we're working on. Let's go ahead and balance those. And what are the minerals? Calcium, magnesium. That's really interesting that those would come up because those are pretty well regulated in the body. And then we've got some zinc. So zinc can be significant in the thyroid. Let's go right to our libraries and let's look at some of the thyroid libraries that we have because it is really interesting to look at how different they are. There's some that are very similar, some that are different. So let's look at them. Now, women tend to have more thyroid issues than men. As it doesn't mean that men don't have any thyroid issues, and certainly their thyroid is being affected by mineral deficiencies and radiation, but there's something about the estrogen factor that seems to affect the thyroid more. So if you have more estrogen, you're going to have more thyroid issues, and it tends to be suppressive of thyroid function. So now let's go ahead and let's go right to all of the thyroid libraries here. If you ever just wanted to have at your fingertips all of the libraries that we have within the Genius, you can do what's called an upgrade. You can contact us and we take the last package that you had purchased, say it was the upgraded or the Excel package is called now, or the Elite package, and we provide you with an upgrade based on the difference between pricing between our Master Elite Plus, which contains all the libraries, and the package that you got. So if you're interested in that, you can get in contact with us, and it's very reasonable. We have really great low installment programs for that. The reason that it becomes really convenient is you just have all the libraries at your fingertips for any condition that you want to address. So let's first look at thyroid assessment. And it says a dental infection may be affecting thyroid function. That's so common. And it may just be something very mild, something that we don't know about. Our teeth might not be hurting us, but then it's good just to run the frequency. Neck involvement, that's really interesting because With the advent of the cell phone and the computer, and I am just always trying to work on this myself, is that we've got this forward posture with our neck. And so that is going to impede some of the blood flow to the thyroid. So anything we can do to open up, do the extension, really open up that area. So neck involvement, or if somebody's had a neck injury, it could be affecting them. So it's interesting, it's saying nodules growing from mercury toxicity here. Now, not everything within the genius is exactly correlated to the physical body, but these are energies that are coming up for the person, and we can always balance the energies. So it's saying thyroid cyst possibly, and a lot of people probably have thyroid cysts that are not very consequential. And saying underlying infection, saying neck injury. I don't know if there was ever a neck injury. Let's go ahead and grab these and put them into the tray. And let's see if there's something else here. We've got let's look at the thyroid reboot. It's interesting, it keeps saying thyroid cysts. That's kind of fascinating. But again, they could be really, really small. Clear insulin resistance, RMA and kale. So RMA is sea vegetable, kale is a green. That would have lots of vitamin A in it. The thyroid fascia, that's interesting. That again goes back to when our neck is tight or when we're stuck in flexion. So the thyroid fascia around the thyroid could be affecting it. The endocrine system now completely balanced. That's a Rife frequency. The thyroid gland is cleared of all radiation effects. The thyroid gland is cleared of the effects of chlorine. Optimal estrogen metabolism, even for men, because there's so many environmental factors, plastics, pesticides, meat, dairy, eggs, butter, all of those things are going to be have more estrogen exposure for the person. So men get exposed to estrogen as well. And then the cricoid cartilage. So once again, that's in that area. If we're sort of bending over it all, maybe that cricoid cartilage is being affected as well. And let's see, maximize the conversion of T4 to T3. So we're not converting as well as we could. Energy is restored. Withania. So withania is ashwagandha. That's a really good herb for the thyroid. Clear the thyroid from effects of excess estrogen that keeps coming up. Weight now releases quickly to get to the optimal weight. Let's go ahead and put all of those into the tray. And let's see if we have some thyroid solutions. So thyroid solutions, weight and strength training. So strength training is really good for becoming more, sort of strengthening the receptivity or increasing the receptor sites to thyroid hormone. So especially in the morning, if you're able to do strength training or do your exercise regimen in the morning, that's also better for your cortisol, because your cortisol is going to be very high in the morning naturally. Great time to exercise. And then it comes down progressively throughout the day. So you don't really want to go out for a run at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because a lot of that energy, the adrenals, epinephrine, norepinephrine, is going to cause that to go higher. You're going to be less likely to get into a restful state of sleep. It's saying vitamin D is needed for optimal function, beta carotene. Turmero is an Apex Energetics product that is really good for anybody who has issues with their thyroid, but especially autoimmune issues like Hashimoto's. And it's a very strong antioxidant made from turmeric. It's turmeric and medium chain triglycerides. Green tea, good for thyroid function. Lugol's iodine, nature throid, CBD, kelp. It's interesting. Ashwagandha again coming up. So some interesting thyroid solutions. Now we have the thyroid gland, the radionic rates, and this is covering sending energy to all the different parts. These radionic rates are really interesting anatomical parts, and then the rates are a form of frequency that was developed in the tradition of radionics. But this one is really, I can see really about all of the different anatomy. And when you're working on a particular, the pancreas, the small intestine, the kidneys, it's really great to be able to get into the actual anatomy of whatever the particular organ or gland is, and then get all the different parts and send energy to those different parts as a way of optimizing the energy of the whole gland or the whole organ. And that's what we have here. So whenever you have the opportunity to work on something, you can get one of the libraries related to the anatomy. It really is important to, like, for example, like if you're working with somebody with breast cancer, get the library for breast anatomy so you can work and send energy to all the different parts of the breast tissue. Let's see if there's anything else kind of interesting here. Thyroid optimized function and detox. Heal the nervous system and the thyroid function. The thyroid functions perfectly. Vibrational selenium supports thyroid health, so that would be the energetics of selenium. Perfect production and circulation of calcitonin. You get selenium from Brazil nuts. So I don't emphasize too much eating nuts and seeds, but you really can get selenium from any sort of fruits and vegetables. But if you need a supercharged amount of it, you could eat 1 to 3 Brazil nuts a day and get a charge of selenium from that. Perfect production and circulation of calcitonin. It's another hormone related to the thyroid. Optimal conversion of T4 to T3, that's what we saw before. So let's go ahead and put these in. Now let's go ahead and we'll also include the flower essences. We should include that in any session that we do in order to pick up on the emotional, magical solutions that we can provide for somebody. So let's go ahead and put our reds and blues into the tray. Now we proceed on to Progressive Insights and takes all of that information and it puts it all together and it reprioritizes it based on what we've selected. So nervous just means the nervous system. So this means sort of meditation, recalibrating our nervous system. That's all that means. Weight is now optimized. Hyperthyroidism comes up. That's kind of interesting. All right, let's go ahead and just lower this here. And it says, so the superior pharyngeal constrictor, that's just part of the blood flow to the thyroid. It says there's a thyroid cyst, it says there's a sensitivity to chocolate. There's some hormonal imbalances that we're working on. We're trying to balance out the copper, glutamic acid, butterbur, which is an herb. I was just trying to see if any of the flower essences came up. Clear Epstein-Barr. So Epstein-Barr is a very big thing related to the thyroid. So if you have Epstein-Barr come up, it can block thyroid function. It can even be associated with Hashimoto's. So that's really interesting that it's coming up. Aloe, which is for clearing the body. And we did get a flower essence here, so we're going to talk about that in just one moment. Just want to see if there's anything else interesting. And butterbur is used to treat allergies, asthma, headaches, and like migraines it's used for. And let's see, the clematis as a flower essence. Okay, so clematis is really for having more focus. When you're the kind of person that maybe you daydream or you lose focus. So clematis is really wonderful to get the person focused. You're a daydreamer, and this really just helps you on the things that you're focusing on for your daily routine. Let me just see if we can get this a little bit more on this. So let me just get this here. All right, so clematis is for those whose minds drift away, looking into the future plans, things like that. And so clematis is really very grounding. It's a deeply grounding remedy. And yeah, that's all that I'm getting about it. Just clematis is an energy that can really ground you. And digestive, aloe, let's see what else is coming up. Korean ginseng, iron. That could be too high or too low. Sensitivity to gluten. Let's see. Anything else that looks interesting here? A lot of adaptogens. It's interesting that saw palmetto came up. It's great for the prostate. Saw palmetto coming up. I'm not sure which library that came from. It might have just come from our herbs in general. So let's do a rescan. We got a 73 or 68% rectification, which is great. We only need 40%. Let's go ahead and rescan it and see what else comes up at what comes up out on the scan, and then we'll go and look at the aura. So we've got garlic, St. John's wort. That's interesting. That can either be for nerve pain or, of course, it could be for mood. The right subclavian artery, dandelion root for liver detoxification, turmeric, left common carotid. So it's not a lot is being focused on related to the thyroid. There's not a lot of thyroid stuff actually coming up. Thyroid cleared of bromine. So they use bromine now in some baked goods, which is kind of interesting. So you can get some exposure to it. Let's go ahead and see about water violet coming up here. And sensitivity to perfumes. We've got some zinc, Korean ginseng, like a lot of adaptogens coming up. So a lot of things working on the adrenals, maybe adrenal fatigue, things like that. Okay, so the water violet is kind of related to the same thing of the clematis. It is sort of like visionary, sort of thinking about plans. All right, and also just people, yeah, people who are like they need a lot of time to sort of focus because they are very visionary. Violet types are quite quiet, gentle, and solitary. They're very independent, capable, and self-reliant, and carve their own path in life without the necessary like influence of others. They're peaceful and calm. You know, that's a lot of honestly our tribe here is we have a lot of water violets. It comes up often in our scans. Let's go ahead and play this and see what's happening with the aura. All right, it would be great to have a class on the flower essences. That's a really good idea. We should definitely do that. Bromine is used in the hot tubs instead of chlorine. That's another great insight. Yeah, it's used in baked goods. It's used in now they thought they were doing a great job by replacing bromine, putting bromine in where chlorine used to be. But now you can get that absorbed into your skin and it can displace iodine in your body. So it's really interesting that they sort of switched deck chairs on the Titanic and it didn't work exactly as we thought that it would. Okay, so we've got some lysine. Now, lysine is interesting that it came up in the light of the Epstein-Barr coming up because lysine is an excellent amino acid to use when you have viruses, and especially the herpetic viruses, which would be like Epstein-Barr, cytomegalovirus, and the things you see like HHV, HHV6, HHV7, things like that. And then we have maitake, which is a medicinal mushroom. Here we only went to 30%, but since we're getting sort of short with time, let's go ahead and let's go back to the aura and see what we're discovering here. So here is the aura. So just an amazing starting aura. It might be different, it might be not. Let's go ahead and see where we're progressing to. Any questions? I guess we've got a lot of people who are very experienced with the Genius. If you have any questions, anything you want me to go into, now is a good time to ask any questions that I can answer for you about the Genius. Remember, we're going to be here next week at the same time. So we're going to be here noon to 1 or 3 to 4 for tomorrow. Wow, isn't this fascinating? Wow, David, this is really interesting. This aura, I want to see the progression of both. Let me think about where I put this. Yeah, I need to actually just do a screenshot on here instead of taking it on my iPad. I wish I had done that before, but we'll try to look at it. So that is so interesting. It's like your whole aura just really expanded in a really powerful way, and it really cleared a lot too. There's not as much of that fuzziness around. So we kept the same colors and we also added in some new colors. Look at that pink and that blue. That is a really fascinating. And it reminds me with the ring numbers, kind of the colors decreasing, the number of rings, that you really went into that focus that we were kind of talking about. I keep taking this in the wrong place. Let's go ahead and do this. I am going to shift here. Let me shift to the photos. It'll make it easier. So go ahead and shift here and you can see where we started out, which was right here. And they're kind of similar. I'm gonna have to move this, just give me a moment. Okay, so here they are. And you see all this sort of like fuzziness around the aura here. We're not gonna see it in the new picture. So here's the one without the avatar. Okay, strong colors here. So that is strong vital force. That is somebody who is clear. This is somebody who's usually showing signs of good health. And you can see it in this one too. Whereas these are more fuzzy and they're not, their boundaries aren't as crisp and clear. So that could be stress or just getting to class or things like that. Then we go here and so you see less of the fuzziness on the outside and you see this ring expand. Obviously heart connection, heart expansion, things are looking really good. And then you see this final one here. And so this just looks great. And we've just got these blues, which blue is 6th chakra, which is around the thyroid. And then you have a similar color that you're seeing in this outer ring here, which is all about, this is 5th chakra around the thyroid. And then this is 6th chakra here. So it's sort of 6th and 7th combined in that middle part of the aura. So now let's see if we can go back to the Genius itself and take a look at it here. Okay, that's good. It actually kept the Genius instead of timing out. That's really, really good. So let's just go ahead, and we don't really have any requests, but let's just go ahead for a moment and let's review our synergistics. And let's look at synergistics. So for the thyroid, we could check for a couple of different types of iodine. And let's go ahead and let's check what I had mentioned before, which is nascent iodine. And let's go ahead and begin the analysis. And so what this is doing is saying how compatible is nascent iodine with the person's body field, how compatible it is with their mind, their body, their energy field, and their spiritual part, which they're all kind of the same. I just take the preponderance of how many circles really close. And here we got a good reading. There's a lot of circles closing. Those circle is closing well. The body circle is closing well. The one that isn't saying that the energy field isn't really a match, which is interesting, but we kind of got 3 out of 4 that are matching really well. Then I'll usually exit out and I'll come back into synergistics. And then I'll do, we have that C vegetable, which is called Dr. C7. So let's see, Dr. C7, C vegetables. One thing that's interesting about sea vegetables, the aramay, the kelp, things like that, is they're actually complete foods. They have all of the enzymes, vitamins, and minerals that humans need. It's amazing that it's in the ocean. Let's go ahead, begin the analysis, and let's see what the biocompatibility is here. Again, this is in the extra modules, and we're checking for an energetic match to see which one is the best energetic match for that person. Okay, so kind of similar. It's a little bit better. We can compare the pictures and see them, but they're pretty close. Let's say same thing with the body, same thing with the mind. The energy field feels a little bit better with this one, and we maybe had the spiritual one closing a little bit more tightly. Let's go ahead and look at them together. So we've got this one. So that's the first one for nascent iodine. So it definitely seems like iodine is pretty good. Well, gosh, they're really similar. Seems like iodine of any type is sort of good. That one looks similar. That one looks similar. Yeah, so the blue is just a little bit more closed, but the other ones are pretty equivalent. So I think the main message is sort of iodine in some form when you're seeing that. And let's just try one more. Let me think for a second. There is, called iodoral. This is a bit strong, and I don't recommend it for most people. This one is a little bit sort of like hitting yourself on top of the head a little bit too, maybe strongly. The nascent and the Dr. C7, I think, are more gentle. So, but iodoral is good when somebody's like really very, very deficient in iodine and very quickly needs a high dose of iodine. Let's go ahead and let's test the iodoral and see how it tests. And this is just really fun if you have a few supplements that you're thinking about and you want to use the synergistics to see how well, that person resonates with them. Okay, so here we have a pretty clear message, right? You could definitely see, let's compare them again, how much less resonant the iodoral is versus the other ones. So let's go, and you could see it pretty quickly. Look at that, Dr. C7, and then look at that one. So much less, right? So much less of the circles that are closing. All right, and then just for fun, let's go back here because we have a few more minutes. And saw palmetto came up for him. Let's just see what saw palmetto, if saw palmetto resonates here. You can also do this for dosage if you know what brand. You could say, Thorn, which is a brand, saw palmetto, and you could say the amount of milligrams per day, and then you could test it several different times in synergistics. So let's go ahead and do this. And see what we have coming up. So, wow, it's really interesting. Look at that spiritual one. The spiritual one is like completely locked in there. And then we only have, this is, I would say, gosh, that spiritual one is so strong though. I'm not sure. I might have to check dosage or brand to really get to know if this is something that's going to really work. I'm trying to think of anything else that comes up. The faux tea came up. So maybe just one last one and just check for Ho Shu, whoops, I cannot spell. Ho Shu Wu, which is a really interesting antioxidant Chinese herb. It's sort of in the family of ginseng. It's a really great anti-aging herb and can give you a lot of sort of vitality and energy. Okay, if the person is taking Synthroid for many years, is there any benefit to the iodine type supplements? Yes. You know, Synthroid, you'd probably be able to decrease your Synthroid. Yeah, can the need for Synthroid decrease? Yeah, you'll probably be able to decrease the amount of Synthroid that you actually need, because iodine will just make the thyroid function a lot better and will give the mineral that's needed to make T3. So Hoshu Wu also, you know, sort of a nice connection here in the spiritual, but not as much in the body. And I would say it's not maybe the greatest supplement. It's sort of 50-50. It's like you've got two rings that are very closed and the rest of the rings that are open. You guys, this has been a lecture about thyroid wellness, and I want to thank David so much for volunteering today. David, if you have a Quanta Capsule and you want to email me your Quanta Capsule email address, I'd be happy to send this over to you. Whoops, let's go ahead and bring this back. So we're going to be back at noon in a week. We also have our Detox and Nourish class today. And in our business membership, we're going over the principles of Chinese medicine. So if you've ever wanted to learn about Chinese medicine, you could check out our business membership and become a part of that. And then Library Discount Club, we're going to be doing increasing financial abundance practices in our bonus class on Friday. So we do have a lot going on in our community this week. You can find more information about all of that at geniusbiofeedback.com. We've got our blog, we've got our libraries on here, we've got, you can download the trial. And let's see if there's any final thoughts. What is the Detox and Nourish? Okay, all right, fantastic. If it's low in the rings, could it mean the body does not need it, but it might not be bad? If it's low in the rings, could it mean that the body does not need it, but it might not be bad? Yes, you can sort of interpret that. Okay, is there any way to increase the compatibility to supplements using the Genius? Yes, I've always really felt strongly that if you were taking vitamin C and you also ran the frequency of vitamin C, it would help you to assimilate it and use it more effectively. So yes, I think you're absolutely correct. This is our course, Detox and Nourish, right here. It's a 4-session course. And the reason you can still use this coupon code for $100 off if you'd like to jump in and join us. The goal of this class is to teach you as a biofeedback practitioner a way of eating that you can teach to your clients and you can utilize for your family. This way of eating will help you to have better outcomes with your biofeedback clients and really thrive in your world. People who are in the class have been totally blown away at the information that we talked about and show you in the class. It'll really change your life in a profound way that will protect your vessels and protect your kidneys and protect your liver, help you from getting cancer, help you from getting heart disease. It's really just easy to understand, great class where we review all of that information, give you a food plan, give you a shopping list, and answer all of your questions. I hope you'll join us if you feel so called to join us. And then we'll be back next week with a new topic all about natural health and your Genius program. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye for now.